Terry Lynn Nichols, born on April 1, 1955, at the age of 40, was sentenced to 161 life sentences without the possibility of parole in the United States of America for 161 counts of first-degree murders and first-degree arson, and conspiracy to use a weapon of mass destruction. He is serving life imprisonment, which should run the longest prison time ever in the history of humanity, at a federal prison in Florence, Colorado. Terry Lynn Nichols was born in Michigan. He grew up on a farm with his parents Joyce and Robert Nichols, alongside 3 siblings. He was raised in a rural environment. He attended Lapeer High School, where he engaged in elective classes like crafts and business law. Despite being described as shy by friends, Nichols participated in various activities such as junior varsity football, wrestling, and skiing. He excelled academically with a 3.6 GPA and displayed artistic talent. Dreaming of a career in medicine, he graduated in 1973 with hopes of becoming a physician. Upon enrolling at Central Michigan University that same year, Nichols' life took a turn when his brother Leslie suffered severe burns in a farm accident. Nichols didn't finish school. In a selfless act, Nichols offered his brother skin for grafts. After a while, his parents divorced. Afterward, he briefly attempted farming with another brother, but found it challenging due to their differences in personality. Deciding to pursue a new path, he moved to Colorado and became a licensed real estate agent in 1976. However, family obligations called him back to Michigan after a successful real estate deal. In 1980, Nichols met a real estate agent, Lana Walsh, who was 5 years older than him. She had at this time been divorced twice and had 2 children. They got married, and 2 years later, they had a son named Joshua. Nichols did a lot of part-time jobs and spent most of his time at home cooking for the children and gardening, while his wife continued to work as a real estate agent. In 1988, at the age of 33, Nichols left the farm life and enlisted in the United States Army, where he met Timothy McVeigh, who became his close friend. Timothy's parents had also divorced, and his also didn't finish school like Nichols. They had the same political views and interests in gun collecting and the survivalist movement. They met and became friends with Michael Fortier. After Nichols joined Army, Lana Walsh filed for divorce because of childcare. A year later, he returned home to take care of his son, who was 7 years old. In 1991, Nichols was 35 years when he got married again to his new bride, 17-year-old Marif Torres from the Philippines. He got her through a mail-order bride agency. A mail-order wife, or sometimes referred to as outsourced bride or foreign bride. This sort of agency have pictures of women who are interested in marrying men from outside Philippines. The pictures are collated in a catalog, and interested guys can pick their choices. Unfortunately, when Marif arrived in Michigan several months later, she was already pregnant with another man's child. The child was deceased at age 2 when he suffocated after getting tangled up with a plastic bag from a banana box that was left overnight in his bedroom. Marif initially suspected foul play from either Nichols or McVeigh, but there were no bruises or signs of trauma to the child. The child's demise was ruled accidental. Nichols and Marif had 2 more children during their marriage. Nichols and his wife frequently visited the Philippines, where she was attending a local college working on a degree in physical therapy. He sometimes traveled to the Philippines alone, while she remained in Kansas. Nichols left a note that had a mysterious and hidden meaning and a package of documents with his ex-wife, Lana, before one of his travels to the Philippines. When he got back to Michigan, he found out Lana had opened and read the letter he sent to her. She wasn't supposed to read it. It was supposed to be opened in the event of his demise. Nichols' anti-government views developed and grew over the years. Nichols spent most of his adult life in the Lapeer and Sanilac County areas of Michigan, where mistrust and resentment of the federal government was common, especially after bank foreclosures of many farms during the 1980s. Neighbors said he attended meetings of anti-government groups, experimented with explosives, and got more radical as time went on. Nichols began to adhere to sovereign citizen ideology. He renounced his driver's license and also tried to denounce his U.S. citizenship. McVeigh and Nichols grew closer and would stay with Nichols for an extended period of time where he lived on the farm. On April 19, 1993, Nichols was watching TV with McVeigh at the Nichols farmhouse in Michigan during the siege of the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas. When the compound went up in flames, McVeigh and Nichols were enraged and began to plot revenge. In that year, they became business partners, selling weapons and military surplus at gun shows. For a while, they lived an itinerant life, following the gun shows from town to town. On September 22, 1994, Nichols and McVeigh rented a storage shed and began gathering supplies for the truck bomb. In late September or early October, Nichols and McVeigh stole dynamite and blasting caps from a nearby quarry. Nichols began purchasing large quantities of fertilizer and storing it in 3 rental storage units. Nichols also robbed an Arkansas gun dealer who had befriended him and McVeigh at various gun shows. In February 1995, Nichols bought a small house in Harrington, Kansas, with a cash down payment. In March 1995, he bought diesel fuel. On April 14th, Nichols gave McVeigh some cash, according to McVeigh. On April 16th, Easter Sunday, Nichols and McVeigh drove to Oklahoma City to drop off the getaway car. On April 18th, the day before the bombing, Nichols helped McVeigh prepare the truck bomb at a lake near Harrington. On April 19, 1995, the truck bomb ripped through the 19-story building, which included a daycare center on the 2nd floor. 68 people, men, women, and children died. A significant number of people in their hundreds were wounded. Nichols was at home in Kansas with his family when the bomb went off. Just 3 days after the incidents, Nichols turned himself in because he was wanted by the police. They searched his house and found blasting caps, detonating cords, ammonium nitrate, barrels made of plastic similar to fragments found at the bombing site, 33 firearms, anti-government warfare literature, a receipt for ammonium nitrate fertilizer with McVeigh's fingerprints on it, a telephone credit card that McVeigh had used when he was shopping for bomb-making equipment, and a hand-drawn map of downtown Oklahoma City. Nichols was held as a material witness to the bombing until he was charged on May 10th. His wife divorced after his arrest and returned to the Philippines with her 2 children. Investigators also searched James Nichols' farm, where Terry Nichols and McVeigh had stayed intermittently in the months leading the bombing. James is Nichols' brother, and he was held in custody on charges that he made small bombs on the farm but was released without charges for lack of evidence. McVeigh was tried in court before Nichols and sentenced to death. Michael Fortier, who was also a former Army and very close friends with Nichols and McVeigh, testified against them. Fortier had entered into a federal plea agreement for reduced charges in return for his agreement to testify. He was charged with failing to notify authorities in advance of the crime and sentenced to 12 years in prison. Fortier testified that Nichols and McVeigh had expressed anti-government feelings and conspired to blow up the Murrah Federal Building. He said he helped McVeigh survey the building before the attack. He also testified that Nichols had robbed an Arkansas gun dealer to finance the cost of the bombing. Fortier provided solid bricks of evidence for the cases against McVeigh and Nichols, according to the prosecutor. Nichols' ex-wife Marie testified as a defense witness, but her story may have helped the prosecution's case. She said her husband had been living a double life prior to the bombing, using aliases, renting storage lockers, and lying that he had broken off his relationship with McVeigh. She also testified that Nichols traveled to Oklahoma City 3 days before the bombing, supporting the prosecution's contention that Nichols helped McVeigh station a getaway car near the Murrah building. Marie also failed to give Nichols an alibi for April 18, 1995, the day the prosecution said Nichols helped McVeigh assemble the truck bomb. Nichols was represented by criminal defense attorney. The trial lasted 9 weeks, with the prosecution calling 100 witnesses tying Nichols to McVeigh and the bombing plot. The prosecution argued that Nichols helped McVeigh purchase and steal bomb ingredients, park the getaway car near the Murrah building, and assemble the bomb. Nichols was brought from the prison in Colorado to Oklahoma in January 2000 to face the state trial on 160 capital counts of first-degree murder and 1 count each of fetal homicide, first-degree arson, and conspiracy. Judge Taylor called Nichols a terrorist and said, "No American citizen has ever brought this kind of devastation. You are in U.S. history the #1 mass murderer in all of U.S. history," and sentenced Nichols to 161 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. He was sent to the federal supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. Acting on a tip from reputed mobster Greg Scarpa Jr., son of mobster Greg Scarpa Sr., a fellow inmate of Nichols, who was sentenced to 40 years in prison for racketeering. The FBI searched the crawl space of Nichols' former home in Kansas 10 years after the bombing. They found explosives in boxes, wrapped in plastic, buried under a foot of rock. The tipster had indicated that the explosives were buried before the attack. Nichols said after 10 years that he and McVeigh had met some people at gun shows who taught them how to make bombs. At the time, Nichols was an employee of Marion County, where they stole 8 cases of explosives from Kansas quarry, some of which was later used in the Oklahoma City truck bomb. The day before the attack, they mixed the bomb ingredients in the truck, but he denied that he knew the exact target of the bomb. Convicted of 161 counts of first-degree murder, first-degree arson, and conspiracy by the State Court of Oklahoma for his part in the Oklahoma City bombing of April 19, 1995. Also sentenced in federal court for terrorism and 8 counts of involuntary manslaughter. He holds the record for most consecutive life sentences ever given to a single individual. Due to such a large number of life sentences, adding no parole possibility, it can be also declared as the longest officially confirmed sentence ever handed in the world. Listen to this advice from a father to his son. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait to shed blood. Let us lurk secretly for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol, and whole, like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in your lot among us. Let us all have one purse. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Keep your foot from their path. For their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. Surely, in vain the net is spread, in the sight of any bird. But they lie in wait for their own blood. They lurk secretly for their own lives. So are the ways of everyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owners. Thank you for staying with us this far. If this is the sort of story you like, subscribe to my channel, click the notification button, and leave your comment. If you have any sentence you would like us to cover, please leave your suggestion in the comment section. Bye.